Hey, Michael with XForcePC here to talk about the RTX system again. This is the third time I've shot this video, and it's because we keep making changes to the system, and I want to make sure everything is accurate in the video. So we've made a couple of more minor changes, so I needed to update it. The front of the case here is just a flat black front, and that's because all the new modern cases they don't really support optical drives. So if you add an optical drive, it would be of the USB variety, but I encourage you to try to avoid that. Pretty much all programs can be downloaded these days. But if you really need one, we do offer one. So just sort of a smooth front. We do have air, where air can come in down here and up here, so those are air intakes. And then I'm going to tip this thing forward to show you the top area. And so what we have up here is a 140 millimeter fan opening, and we have a fan up there blowing straight up. And as we all know, heat rises, so it's a good thing to have the fan in the top blowing up and out. And that's a very efficient way to get the heat out. You get the fan, plus you have the natural physics of heat helping to get the heat out of the case. We also have a large power button here. This is lit with any particular color you want. You can select that with this little button here. We typically set it to red to match the red accents that we have here in the front and the bottom. Now we also have two USB 3.0 ports for front USB, and then we have a headphone and a microphone jack. And that's pretty much it. Not exactly an exciting front or top, but then we'll move around to the side where it gets, a little bit more exciting. So this is a customer system I just got done building. I'm going to do the old peeling of the plastic that sometimes people find quite satisfying. The reason the plastic's here is there's a tempered glass side panel, and you don't necessarily need to see everything that's up in here, but what we've got is this customer maxed out the system. So and I don't necessarily recommend doing that. Watch the other videos where I talk about performance. But we've got that 9700K in here with 8 cores, overclocked to 5 gigahertz. So we've got a water cooler, so you can sort of see the piping there for the water cooler. And the water cooler is here in the front. You might be able to see that. So it's a dual fan water cooler. And then they also opted for the 2080 Ti, but again, I don't necessarily recommend that. Watch the video on that, which is on the same page as this product. Just scroll down. They also opted for 32 gigs of RAM, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it doesn't hurt anything. So we've got 8GB6 of DDR4, 3200 RAM. We have wireless AC, which is the latest wireless technology built onto this board. We have 2 M.2 slots. That's what you put SSDs in. So you'll see we have an option for a secondary SSD if you wanted to use that just for mass storage or putting videos or pictures or whatever on. And I mentioned the wireless AC. You can see the antennas up here, which I'll show you when we go around back. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to point out on this side. I think that pretty much covers it. So we're going to talk about the backside next. So around back here, you'll see the power supply down here. The power supply, we use a minimum 700 watt. This guy maxed this system out, so I put something a little more powerful in here. But our minimum power supply size is 700 watts for this system. We added a couple of USB 2.0s, depending on what board we use. If there's not any USB 2.0s on the board, which there's not in this case, then we put a couple of USB 2.0s down here, because we feel it's important that you have a couple, because a lot of the new, or some of the older Cytec or Logitech stuff sometimes doesn't like USB 3.0 and 3.1. Moving up, you see we have the graphics card here, the new RTX line. Again, I have a video on that on the same product page. This particular card has 3 full-size display ports, an HDMI, and also a Type-C port, which you can also use for video as well. Not all of them will. Some of them will delete one of these DisplayPort connections. But that's fine because the maximum monitor supported is 4 anyway. This has 5 just for added flexibility. This Type-C port is also especially designed for future VR headsets. So it will handle the power, the data, and the video for a VR headset. So meaning, in theory, one wire to connect to your VR headset. And hopefully the VR headsets are all going to be wireless. So really you'd be connecting a little base station and you'd be doing that with one wire, which will be kind of nice. So we'll see if that happens, but that's the way it's supposed to go. We have 8-channel audio here. That's what all these ports are. Gigabit Ethernet, of course. We have a bunch of USB 3.0 and 3.1 ports, and we have a Type-C connector. The USB Type-C is the new fancy kind of connector the new iPads are coming with, and a lot of the new smartphones. So it'll be nice to have one of those. Whether or not you'll use it or not, I can't say. Not heavily used right now. Then we have the 2 antennas for the wireless AC. It's kind of nice they're sort of up a little ways, so they stick above the top of the case just a bit. And you could actually, these screw on and off, and you could actually buy larger ones that stand up taller if you decided you wanted to. They're not terribly expensive online. And of course we have an exhaust fan here where the air blows out of the case, as well as the top of the case. And that pretty much covers the back side. Yep, I think that does it. So I'm not going to do the other side of the case because it really is just a big plain black side. I will mention that in the bottom that's where the power supply gets its air. It goes in the bottom and comes out the back. And there is a filter there, so you want to be aware of that and sort of clean that every now and again. But since it's sitting down on the floor, it tends to pick up a lot of dust. So it's good to have a filter. It's also good to clean it because it picks up a lot of dust if you've got this sitting all the way down on the floor. So do bear that in mind. I think that pretty much covers it. And be sure to watch the other videos on our RTX product page. You scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see videos on the performance of the graphics card, the video card, and some other stuff, and whether or not we think you should consider upgrading any of that stuff or not.